What's up, everybody? This is TerranUdown bringing you a replay of Tyrael playing the red toss versus myself, TerranUdown, the blue Terran. Now, I've had a lot of people tell me how, it's just impossible for a pro Terran to beat a pro toss. And how difficult it is because the toss are just so powerful, so early game, and those Zealots and Immortals just completely destroy everything that the Terran can throw at them. Well, the main thing about the Terran that a lot of people need to understand is that Terran is not a full-blown outforce trauma race. The whole thing about the Terran is harass. You want to control your opponent, you want to make them pay for every move they make, and you want to know every move they make. And basically just make them suffer for it. So, what we're going to do here is I'm going to do a 9 depot. Toss here. Tyrael's going to do a standard Terran, or standard pro toss, my bad. Start. He's going to come out. He's going to try to scout. He's going to try to look out for me. After I'm done with this depot here, I'm going to go over and try to scout out, see where if I can find this guy. So we're just going to start out pretty standard here. Now the main thing you need to know, a lot of Terran players argue with me about is tanks versus toss. Okay, here's the thing. Yeah, a lot of people say tanks are bad versus toss because of the fact that those Immortals can just destroy them. But you guys need to understand is if you put a bunker in front of those tanks and you get a medevac out and you use those tanks' range against the Protoss, it just annihilates them. You really have to learn how to use that medevac tank combo because those medevacs will give you vision across those cliffs here. And if you place those tanks here, you'll be able to shoot his buildings or his pylons or whatever he's got sitting up here, and he can't do a thing about it. The only thing he can do is try to come down this ramp over here and try to get to you. Well, he's got to suffer for all this, and if you got a concussive shell with Marauders, he's just going to be really slow to you, and he's just going to pay for every step he takes towards your tanks. So I'm going to do here is I did a 9 depot to a 12 barracks to a 13 refinery, and then a 15 orbital command. Afterwards, I'll build another refinery. Another thing that the Terran really do not want to do, you do not want to build your wall up right up front, because what's going to happen is this little probe here, if he found me at first, he's going to harass me all day. It's going to take these SCVs forever to get down here and try to support and throw that harass off. If you build it right here, your SCVs are there to support, and they're not even going to bother harassing. They're just going to come scout and be like, okay, I'm out of here. So, it really puts a lot of pressure off the Terran player for that wall. And what you can do later is you can do this magical thing called lift, and you're going to come over here and you can finish your wall off very quickly. So what I'm going to do here is build my factory at about 4 minutes, which is really nice, and then get my tech lab, and there's my wall. Perfect, right? And here's the thing about this wall. These two provide a lot of life, and this little place here provides an excellent choke against the toss. And, the Zerg as well, because what it does is it crunches their units up in the one little area, and all the rest are stuck down here, and you got tanks here just murdering that one area. And you'd think that depot would go down, but that depot's got a lot of life. It's got a lot more life than you think it does. So I grabbed this little Zelnaga tower here because I want to know if this guy's going to try to come over and punish me early, because I see a lot of toss players try to do a little early stalker harass, and which isn't too bad, but if you get a little repair on that supply depot, it's pretty quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this. I want that third thing out. You got to remember that the time it takes for this to come over here is going to be equal. So right when that finishes, it just finishes perfectly. And there we go. We got a 520 tank. If I build a tank, there we go, with the siege tank ability. What I really want to do here is I want to get the tech lab. Even though you can't make Marines right away and you can't get men out really fast, you got to remember that it does pay off, and it will make a difference. We see the red guy, red Tyrael here coming over. Scouted him. I see he's getting a robotics facility, so I know automatically he's either going to get observers or immortals. And knowing that every pretty much toss player goes immortals against Terran to kill those tanks. I also know he's getting warp gates, so I'm going to be looking for outside pylons here. I do not see this expansion. I have no idea that he's got that expansion, but I do know that he's building those. And you got to remember, even though the toss really, let's look at the income here. even though Toss has such a higher income than me, and he's doing really well on income, you also have to remember that Terran don't need a lot of income. They really don't. You can use like 20 units and kill so many more. One thing I need to get a little better about is the fact that I need to get the supply depots up a little earlier, get that a little more organized here. So I'm basically doing is I want those Marines out and I want those Marauders out. And a lot of people say either go full Marines or full Marauders. Well, you don't want to do that because Marines are really nice against those Zealots. And even though the Marauders do slow them down and they can murder them, you know, those Marines do provide a lot of little extra support here and there, and they can kill those Observers or those Void Rays or Scouts or, you know, what Phoenixes, my bad. I'm still stuck in SC1. You know, coming over trying to knock out your tanks or whatever be it. Now, what's funny is I have a really good eye, so I see this observer here, just floating here. And I always like mentioning to the Toss players how I see it. It just kind of like makes them mad. They're just like, oh darn, you can see me. Alright, so I'm scouting him. So I see the 2 gate. I see he's trying to go for a 4 gate with a robotics facility. I'm placing these tanks up until I'm ready, because what this does here is he can't see me. And even if he did, I can still pull those tanks back and put them over here and just snipe their stalkers down and just be over with. Alright, so let's look at the army here. Okay, so he's 60 out of 60 and I'm 51 out of 51. So I do have the smaller army, and this is how I've always faced Toss. You know, Toss have always had a much larger army than I have. But you know, if you place your stuff right and you do your stuff right, it's good. Now, the reason I'm kind of confused is when I brought this medevac over, he pulled his zealot right out, and I don't know necessarily why he did that. It was just kind of odd to me. I don't really understand. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. I'm building this bunker here, and I'm going to place these tanks and just use this medevac vision, and just, there it is. I mean, look at that. He can't touch my tanks. I'm just sitting here, you know, wiping on him all day. I'm gonna pull back a little bit. He took out my medevac, so I'm gonna use a comsat to give me a little more vision. He's backing off. He knows that's death zone, so he's not even gonna do anything over there. So what he's saying is, okay, well, stalkers and stuff aren't gonna work for me. I need to be able to pressure those tanks. So he's gonna try to get the tanks killed by getting out some Immortals and Zealots here. And you have to remember, Terran players, you have to constantly be pumping. I'm a little full on the supply depots. I'm trying to micro my army over here. Alright, here we go. Now watch. I'm crunching up these guys into one spot. Attacking these one at a time. Putting pressure here. Alright, he's going to try to come down. And here's where this bunker just comes in magically. I'm just going to place him in. I'm going to pull this guy back and repair it. And he's getting out of there. He's done. So now I have my stuff set up to where I'm just going to be attacking his expo and just punishing him this whole time, and I'm just keep pumping stuff out. I just keep pumping. I mean, well, you know, what can a Toss player really do? I mean, he's just going to try to keep hitting you, but oh, now I got vision again. So I'm just going to use that medevac vision to pressure any units he wants to try to come over here and try to get me. I mean, they got to come a long way. I mean, they're going to get shot 2 or 3 times before they can even think about trying to attack me. Alright, so now here he's going to come, right? Now here's where the Marauders just come awesome. Look at that. Slowed him down. He got shot twice before they came over. Look at that. Half his army is already gone before they even come over to attack me. And then, you know, that's it for the Stalkers. Bye-bye. And that's another thing. If you go full Marauders and full tanks against a true Toss player, those Immortals are just going to eat you up for lunch. Here's another place where the bunker just comes in handy. I'm just going to keep pumping and keep pumping, just keep pressing him. Slowly and surely, just harassing the guy. I mean, this is a classic 4-gate robotic push. I mean, it's really... Oh, wow, he's got 7 gates, you know? Never mind. There it is, right? I mean, that is just a super massive pump against a Terran player. And I only have, you know, 7 units here, and he's got all that. And every single one of those units is stronger than the unit I have here. But here's the thing with the Terran. You've got to make your stuff positioned right. You've got to time your stuff right. You got to make sure that you're attacking without him knowing about it. I mean, it's just all those come into play. Because what happens is, in order to defeat a Terran, to those TOS players who are watching this kind of getting upset of the fact like, oh my god, how is he doing this? Alright, so I see that big army, right? I don't want him to attack me over this cliff, so I'm going to push my tanks back and just punish them for trying to come over that cliff. See, they got to come all this way down. I have the support, I got the bunker. You know, not one tank is lost, and he just lost everything. I lost maybe 2 men in that fight, and I just annihilated all those zealots and all those stalkers. Do a little run and hide, run and hide. Push up a bit. I want to siege one. I don't want to siege them all because, you know, you never know what's going to happen. Tries to come over and save himself with these, which doesn't really make any sense. I don't know why people do this. I mean, they just lose all their resources. I mean, they just lose it all. I mean, that's it. I mean, he's got no more resource supply. He can barely produce anything left, and I mean, I'm still, yeah, you know, I'm still just there. And then, you know, he comes back with a little, you're crap. But, you know, honestly, that's how you really defeat a TOS. You just have to harass the heck out of them. You know, it's the same thing with a Zerg. Zerg are a little different. You have to kind of out macro them plus micro. They're a little more difficult of a race to handle out. But TOS are very easy to handle out if you know how to just take 3 units and just annihilate the whole army. So, once again, this is TerranUdown, bringing you a replay of how to defeat a, well, it looks like a 7-gate, but it used to be a 4-gate and a mortal push. A lot of complaints to a Terran player about that. I'll bring you next replay against another Zerg or Terran player and show you how to beat them. Alright, later.